Okay, we're here for Shavuos-Bamidbar, Tavshin Ayin Gimel. Another couple of things tonight also. We're coming up to the Shabbos before the Yontiv of Shavuos. Tonight actually being Rosh Chodesh Sivan. So we only have another few days to Shavuos. So we're going to use this opportunity. We're going to try to get in a little bit about Shavuos-Bamidbar too, but Be'ikr we're going to talk about Shavuos tonight. Chazal tell us in the Gemara, Sech the Shabbos daf Pei Vav Amud Beis. With the Kulei Alma, the Shabbos nitna Torah li Yisrael. There's a machlokes in the Gemara, which day of Sivan the Torah was given, whether the Torah was given on Vav or Zayin Sivan, on the 6th day or the 7th day of Sivan. And the Gemara says, but with the Kulei Alma, everybody agrees, everyone holds, that whichever day you hold, there was Kabbalah Torah, the Shabbos nitna Torah li Yisrael. Somebody mentioned to me here last week that he enjoys very much when we talk about Shabbos. So we have a whole shiur about Shabbos tonight, and the connection between this Shabbos, which is the Shabbos before Shavuos, and Kabbalah Torah. The Hachana for Kabbalah Torah, we know, the Pasuk says, V'yatem tiyu li mamleches koyanim v'goy kodosh. In other words, the Torah is telling us that who is somebody who could be makabel the Torah. The Torah was only meant for someone who's a yid, for someone who acts like a yid. And the hachana for Kabbalah Torah is to teach us how to behave like a yid, how to act like a yid, because only yidin was zoiche to Kabbalah Torah. V'atem tiyuli mamleches koyanim v'goy kodosh. That pasuk encapsulate. That pasuk tells us how you could be ready for Kabbalah Torah, that you should be Mamleches Koyanim V'Goy Kodosh. And Kedusha, as we've spoken over the past couple of weeks a number of times, Kedusha is not only Kedusha in your nefesh, Kedusha in your neshama. Kedusha means everything. It means Kedusha in your guf, Kedusha in your mind, Kedusha in your hashkafos. And once you get that all together and you understand that you have to be Mamleches Koyanim V'Goy Kodosh, then you're a person who's now able to be Mekabel the Torah. And it has to encompass the entire person. Like we see the Pasuk says, Ve'anshe kodesh tiyamli. Ve'anshe refers to, Anshe is the entire person. A person can't have, that'll have one part of his life will have Kedusha, but when he goes out in the street, or when he's in his house, or when he's with these people, or when he's with members of his family, or with his friends, then I don't need so much Kedusha. No, the Pasuk tells us, the Anshe Kodesh Tiyamli. You want to be a person who has Kedusha, you want to, this Shavuos, be Zaycha, to have a Kabbalah Torah, you have to be a person of Kedusha. The Anshe Kodesh, the entire package. So the Kasha, Nesivos Shalom asks, once we know you need all this Kedusha, how does a person who's be'etzem, a person's full of Gashmias, and we're living in a world that's full of Gashmias. We're inundated every day with more and more Gashmias. How do we come to this madrego, to this level of Kedusha? The answer, says in Nesivos Shalom, is one thing. Is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Shabbos. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mekadesh the Shabbos. And the Shabbos is the Mekar of all Kedusha. The Mekar of all Kedusha for every single person. We know that we learned a couple of weeks ago in Parshas Emor, we learned it on Yom Tov also, Shor Echesa Vayez Ki Yivoled, and at the end of the pasuk it says, Uvayoyim Hashmini, Umiyoyim Hashmini V'Hola Yerotzel Karban Isha. A carbon needs 8 days. Another thing we see, that when a baby boy is born, the bris is on the 8th day. A baby boy also needs 8 days before he has the bris, before he comes a real member of Klal Yisrael. Dr. Nesivos Shalom. Aside from Karbanas, Yom Hashmini V'Hola, and aside from bris, you see that in order to have Kedusha, you have to go by a Shabbos. 8 days never passes. The carbon, it will never pass 8 days without having a Shabbos somewhere in between. A baby, before he has his bris, will never have time without a Shabbos. In 8 days, you're always going to have a Shabbos. So the Gemara is telling us, Zok Nesivos Shalom, that everybody agrees that the Shabbos nitna Torah li Yisrael, that with the koyach of Shabbos, when Shabbos we're able to go and get the Kedusha, with that the Nesivos Shalom says that's what the Gemara is referring to also, that everybody holds that it's in the schus of Shabbos, and by using out the Shabbos, that's how we were zoicha to the Kedusha for Kabbalas HaTorah. So we know that Moshe Rabbeinu, the Gemara says that Moshe Rabbeinu, according to one of the Mandiyam, Moshe Rabbeinu even added on a day just to get to Shabbos Kodesh. That we had to have a Shabbos before Kabbalas HaTorah. Shabbos gives us an opportunity to whatever Olam Hazeh you have in yourself, and believe me, we have a lot of Olam Hazeh in ourselves. Shabbos gives us an opportunity to shake it off, to reach the Madrega that we need to reach of Vo'esa, Eschem al Kanfei Nisharim Vo'avi Eschem Eloi. For that you need a Shabbos Kodesh. It's brought down in the Torah Sa'avos, brought down in the Nesivos Shalom from the Torah Sa'avos, that there's a difference between Shabbos and Yontif, and this is good to know this week, because this week we have a Shabbos and a Yontif. On Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes a Yid and brings a Yid up to him. Like we say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes a Yid and brings him mamish up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. On Yontif it's a bit different. On Yontif, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's the Melech Malchei Amlachim, on Yontif, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes down to each Yid in his matzav. He comes down to this world, and that's why Yontif in the Sukkah, we discussed a little bit on Sukkahs, on Yontif HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes Kaviyachol, comes down to us. Whatever level we're in, whatever matzav we're in, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to us. But on Shabbos HaKadosh Baruch Hu is different. He brings a Yid up a lot higher than normally we'd be able to do on our own. And what our normal matzav would say. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes us much higher than that. And then that's the Madrega, and that's what he does on Shabbos. Therefore, everybody agrees, B'Shabbos nitna Torah Yisrael, because only through Shabbos Kodesh, because now we need to be lifted up. Even though Shavuos is a Yontif. And on Shavuos we have that Madrega of Yontif. But still you must have that Madrega of Shabbos, B'Shabbos nitna Torah Yisrael, that whatever matzav we're in, we need the help of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bring us up, raise our level, so we could be Zoiche to a Kabbalas HaTorah. It's a very interesting Medrash Tanchuma. The Medrash says in Parshas Noach, and the Medrash speaks a little bit over there about Torah. The Medrash brings a pasuk in Eov. Some of you know this pasuk. A lot of pasukim in Eov are tough to know, but they're actually songs written with Aruka me'eretz midah urchava miniyah. It's talking about the Torah, that the Torah, Aruka, it's Aruch, Me'eretz Midah, from a very, very large distance of land, Urchava, and its width is Miniyam. In other words, the Torah is very large, very great. And he brings another pasuk in here. The pasuk says about Torah, V'loi simotze simtzo be'eretz hachayim. You don't find Torah in the Eretz HaChaim. The pasuk in here, Frek the Nesivos Shalom. If you don't find Torah in the Eretz HaChaim, where do you find it? Eretz HaMesim? Well, where else is Torah if it's not in the Eretz HaChaim? Zok Nesivos Shalom, a beautiful word on this pasuk. He says that Eretz HaChaim is not referring to, as we think, a difference between Eretz HaChaim, a land of the living, or a land of those who are not living. Eretz HaChaim means the opposite of what is an Eretz HaMesim. He says, let me explain to you what Eretz HaMesim is. Eretz HaMesim refers to people who are busy with taivas and kavod and gedula and all these kind of things in Olam Hazeh. And he says, although a person is trying to reach for those kind of things, it's a very restricting world. It's only given, kavod is only given in a measurement. Taivas, you can try to have a lot, but everything is only given in a measurement. He says the Torah is the opposite. Torah is unrestricted. The Torah, you can always steig more. There's always more. The Yam HaTalmud of how deep you could go into a Gemara, how much you could learn, how much you could cover, it's extremely, extremely large. It's larger than life. Therefore, v'lo simtzo be'eretz hachayim. You can't find Torah in Eretz HaChaim. What's Eretz HaChaim? Eretz HaChaim, even the Eretz HaChaim is too restricting for the Torah. How would a person be able to be makabel the Torah and be koine in Olam Hazeh? Olam Hazeh is by nature a restricted world. It's full of gashmiats, it's full of taivas, and full of everything like that. How can a person be makabel the Torah? V'lo simtzo be'eretz hachayim. Zok Nesivos Shalom. So what do we do? If everything in Olam Hazeh seems to be going keneged us being able to be makabel the Torah, Zok Nesivos Shalom, the word that we just said before. That's why we have Shabbos. That Shabbos is able to take us above and beyond our normal restrictions. Olam hazeh is restricted. Even though, even in the Eretz HaChaim, in this world, it's very, very difficult to have Torah, which is so open wide, and something that's so restricted. Therefore, we have Shabbos. And what do we know about Shabbos? Shabbos is Kol HaMa'anigis HaShabbos, Noisum Loi Nachla B'li Mitzorin. Shabbos is in a totally different gather. On Shabbos, you're able to reach madregas that normally you'd never see. On Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and takes us to madregas that normally we would never reach. And therefore, Yuzaycha, which we say is the Nachlas Yaakov Avicha, and the bracha of Yaakov, we know for Ratz the Yom of a Kaim of a Tzafayna Benegba. We spoke about this a bit in the Parshas about Yaakov Avinu. All this by Yaakov, the brachas are B'li Mitzorin. And that's what Yuzaycha to on a Shabbos. Nesivos Shalom says that every single year, there's a new hischatshus of Kabbalas HaTorah. Kabbalas HaTorah is not a historic thing that happened some 3,350 something years ago. Kabbalas HaTorah is not that way. Sheva Shabbosos Temimois, we say that a person comes to a Kabbalas HaTorah with 7 complete weeks of preparation. However, you could prepare for all 7 weeks of Nesivos Shalom, but in 1 minute on Shabbos, you're able to accomplish more than you're able to accomplish the entire week. He brings down a few suggestions about Kabbalas HaTorah. First of all, Avadi speaks about what we're talking about now, the Shabbos. He also speaks about Achdus in Klal Yisrael. A person should actively be against Machlokes. Actively make sure that you're not involved in any machlokes, any sinas chinam. Vayichan sham Yisrael neged ahar ki ish echad b'leiv echad. If Kabbalas HaTorah is eternal, and every year we have a Kabbalas HaTorah, why would we think that this year you could be makabel the Torah if you're not Vayichan sham Yisrael neged ahar ki ish echad b'leiv echad? Why would you think that it would be any different? The same way Kabbalas HaTorah had to be b'kedusha, and we need the Shabbos to help us with kedusha. We also need Vayichan sham Yisrael neged ahar. There is no way that we can be Mukabel the Torah when Klal Yisrael is engulfed in Machlokes. And this Shabbos, Dr. Nesivos Shalom, the Shabbos before Shavuos, is a tremendous Eis Ratzain. And he says it's a time to be mispalo. That we should be Ebe'emes be Zaycha to the real Kabbalas HaTorah. Kabbalas HaTorah doesn't just mean staying up a whole night on Shavuos and saying that I'm learned, and you remember you sleep the day before, and you learn at night, and you sleep the day after. That be'etzem doesn't give you a Kabbalas HaTorah. Shavuos Dr. Nesivos Shalom is a Yom Hadin. It's a Yom Hadin for your Ruchnius. Just like we know that you're Nidoin, Gemara Rosh Hashanah, we're Nidoin on different things, different times of the year. Shavuos is the Yom Hadin for Ruchnius. We speak so much about Hachana and Sfira. This Shabbos, the Shabbos before Shavuos, a person shouldn't say, I can't do anymore. Shavuos-Bamidbar. Shavuos-Bamidbar, if it teaches us one thing, it teaches us that every person counts. The first thing in this week's Parsha, and inevitably it is the Shabbos. It happens once in a blue moon. Parshas Nosei might be before Shavuos, but Shavuos-Bamidbar is always right before Shavuos. Every person counts. So every person has his job. Side to work on Shabbos, side to work on Kedusha, side to work on Achdus, Vayichan Sham Yisrael neged ahar, that we should all taka be zaycha together to an emes HaKabbalas HaTorah this year.